Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Today we will study about weather and climate. So we use these two terms, weather and climate, together. Now see what is the definition of weather and what is the definition of climate. First, what is weather? Now weather is when the atmospheric condition of a place keeps on changing from day to day. That is called weather. Okay, that is the weather of a place. It is not temporary. It keeps on changing. Now what is climate? Climate, it is the atmospheric condition of a place for a long period of time. The climate, it is permanent, but weather, it is not permanent. Now see, there are various factors which are controlling this climate. Now I will show you a video in which you will see that the factors which are affecting climate.
Firoz recently accompanied his dad on a business trip. He visited quite a few places in India and abroad. When he travelled, Firoz noticed that the weather conditions were different in all the places he visited. Firoz's dad explained to him that weather changes every day. Weather scientists record the different weather conditions such as temperature, rainfall and wind speeds for a long period of time, as long as 30 years.
Okay, so the scientists who study these weather conditions or the climate conditions, they are called the meteorologists.
When the weather of a place is recorded over a long period of time, it is called climate. There are many things that affect the climate of a region. These are known as factors that affect climate. Let's take a look at the factors that affect the climate of the places that Firoz visited. In early May, Firoz visited Khartoum in Sudan, which is close to the equator. It was extremely hot there. After some days, Firoz visited Moscow, which is closer to the North Pole. Before he left, Firoz was told to pack plenty of warm clothes as it is always chilly in Moscow. And sure enough, when Firoz reached Moscow, he felt cold. Why do you think the climate is so different in these two places? Well, this is because one place is closer to the equator than the other. Places near the equator receive the direct rays of the sun that fall over a small area. So, these places usually have a warmer climate. As we go towards the poles, the rays of the sun are slanting. They spread over a wider area. So, areas near the poles are cold.
So the first factor which affects climate, it is latitude, means the places which are lying close to the equator or which are located on the equator, those places will have hotter climate than the places which are located at the poles, because the equator, they are receiving the direct sun rays, and these sun rays, they are covering a small area. So that is why the places which are located near the equator, they are having hotter climate, and as we go away from the equator, the rays of the sun, they are becoming slanting and they are covering a wider area. So that is why the polar regions, they are having a cold climate.
Next, Firoz visited New Delhi. It was summer in New Delhi and the temperatures were very high. But when he reached Gangtok in Sikkim, he found it so different. It was very cold there. Gangtok is located at a greater height or altitude than New Delhi. As we go higher and higher above sea level, the temperature becomes lower and lower. For each kilometer that we climb, the temperature falls by 6.5 degrees. So, Gangtok was colder than Delhi even though it was summer.
So now next factor which is affecting the climate, it is altitude. Altitude, it is the height of a place from the sea level. As we will go upwards or as we will move in higher altitudes, the climate, they will become cooler.
After that, Firoz travelled to Panji in Goa and later to Nagpur in Maharashtra. Panji was pleasant. It was neither too hot nor too cold, even though it was summer. However, Nagpur was very hot. Do you know why? Well, Panji lies on the coast, close to the sea. The sea does not get too hot, nor does it become too cold. So, places near the sea, such as Panji, have a moderate climate, both in summer and winter. That is, it is neither too hot nor too cold here. But places like Nagpur are far from the sea. Such places are very hot in summer and very cold in winter because the land heats and cools very fast. These places have an extreme climate.
So distance from the sea, it is also playing an important role in the climate of a place. The places which are located near the sea, they are having a moderate type of climate due to the influence of the sea. And the places which are located far away from the sea, those places, they are having extreme climate. Extreme climate means very hot in summer and very cold in winter.
In June, Firoz visited Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Firoz found the climate there to be chilly and wet. People who lived there told him to carry an umbrella as it rains very often in Liverpool. Firoz later visited Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Firoz noticed that it was warm and dry there at this time of the year. Looking around, Firoz found almost no vegetation, showing that the region received less rain. Winds blow from the Atlantic Ocean to the United Kingdom. Since they pass over the sea, they carry moisture and bring rain. But the winds in Mongolia blow over the land, so they are dry and do not bring any rain.
Next is the direction of wind. So the direction from which the wind is blowing, they are also affecting the climate of a place. If the wind, they are coming from a hot area, they are rising the temperature of that place, and if the winds, they are blowing from a cold area, they are decreasing the temperature of a place. And these winds, they normally blow from high pressure areas to the low pressure areas. And winds, when they are blowing over the sea, they are collecting moisture which is causing the rainfall. And when winds, they are blowing from land to the sea, they are called the dry winds.
Thus, we found out that the following factors affect climate. Latitude. Areas closer to the equator are warmer than those near the poles. Altitude. Areas located at higher altitudes have a cooler climate. Distance from the sea. Areas near the sea have a moderate or equable climate, while those in the interior have an extreme climate. Winds. When winds blow from the sea to the land, they carry moisture. And when they blow from the land to the sea, they are dry.
Okay students, now you have seen that these are the factors which are affecting the climate of a place. These are latitude, altitude, distance from the sea and wind. So these are the factors which play an important role in the climate of a place. Understood students? Understood? Okay. Now we will move on to the quiz part. So now savannas and rainforest are examples of dash climate: extreme, temperate, tropical, dry. The correct answer will be tropical climate.
Yes, ma'am. Tropical climate.
Okay, very good. Passing of air over a water body makes it absorb more amount of water, which leads to hail, rainfall, wind, snowfall. The answer will be rainfall.
Rainfall. Yes, ma'am.
Now, next, identify the instrument used to measure rainfall. Disdrometer, barometer, rain gauge, rain meter. So the correct answer is rain gauge. We use rain gauge to measure rainfall of a place. Now, what is formed when warm air from inland areas meets cool air from the sea? Cloud, wind, dew. What is formed when warm air from inland areas meet cool air from the sea? Clouds. Clouds are formed when warm air from inland areas they meet cool air from the sea. Now next one is the reason for the coastal areas to be wetter and cooler than inland areas is distance from the sea, humidity, oceanic current, direction of wind. So the correct option is distance from the sea. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay students, now our next topic is the heat zones or the temperature zones.
Okay, ma'am.
Latitudes are one of the important factors that help determine the climate of a place on the Earth. The important lines of latitude help us define the heat zones. Different parts of the Earth receive different amount of heat from the Sun, depending on how far an area is from the equator. On the equator, the rays of the sun fall vertically. As a result, the heat from the sun rays concentrate only on a small area. Thus, the area near the equator is the hottest region in the world. As we move away from the equator towards the poles, the rays of the sun fall in slanting manner. As a result, the heat from the sun rays spread over a wider area. Thus, these areas have low temperatures. The Earth can be divided into 3 climatic or heat zones based on the temperature. They are torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone. The torrid zone includes areas lying between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. the region being closest to the equator and hence experience hot temperature almost all around the year. The areas lying between the torrid zone and frigid zones are called the temperate zone. North temperate zone is located between North frigid zone and the torrid zone, and the South temperate zone between South frigid zone and the torrid zone. These areas experience mild temperatures, neither too cold nor too hot. There are two frigid zones, the North frigid zone and the South frigid zone. The North frigid zone is located between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole. The South frigid zone is located between the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole. They are the coldest parts of the Earth. The area between the South Pole and the Antarctic Circle is called the... Select the correct option and click Submit. Latitude is an important factor that determines the dash of a place. Select the correct option and click Submit. Let us summarize the points covered in this animation.
So you can see that the latitudes, they help us to determine the climatic condition of a place. Now based on these important latitudes, the earth, they are divided into three temperature zones or the heat zones. First one is the torrid zone. This torrid zone, it is lying between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn, and this torrid zone, they are receiving the vertical sun rays. Therefore torrid zone, it is the hottest zone of the world. Now next one is the temperate zone. The temperate zone, they are receiving the slanting sun rays, and the type of climate which is experienced by the temperate zone, it is moderate type of climate. And temperate zone, it lies between this Tropic of Cancer to Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and from Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. Now the third one is the frigid zone. Frigid zone, they receive the very slanting sun rays. So they are having cold climate. They are the coldest zones, and this frigid zone, they lie between Arctic Circle to North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and from Antarctic Circle to South Pole in the southern hemisphere. So these are the three heat zones on the basis of the latitude. Okay, now you see this, identify the climatic zone in which the rays of the sun fall in a great slant on this zone and the sun does not rise much above the horizon. So the three options are torrid, temperate and frigid. What will be the correct option? It's frigid zone. In frigid zone, the sun rays, they are falling in a great slant.
Yes, ma'am.
Now next is a very hot summer and a very cold winter is dash climate. What is the type of climate? Temperate, extreme, dry, tropical. It is extreme climate. Very hot summer and very cold winter. This is called extreme climate.
Extreme climate, yes, ma'am.
Yes. The reason for Delhi being very hot during summer is pollution, deforestation, hot winds from Thar desert and global warming. The correct option is hot winds from Thar desert. Hot winds from Thar desert, they are making Delhi very hot during the summer season.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Next is the area between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the north. It is known as dash zone. What is the area between this Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle? It's temperate zone.
Okay, ma'am.
The equator is the largest possible latitude. Is it true or false that equator it is largest possible latitude? It is true because equator it is the largest latitude. Okay students.
Yes, ma'am.